Hey, Nadia.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Sometimes Nadia and I know exactly what we want to talk about when we get onto this podcast. And today we have so many different things that we thought about talking about, but we haven't zeroed in on one thing. So I'm going to leave it to Nadia to start with the questions. It's
Mm,
usually me asking the questions, and I'm going to turn to Nadia.
mm, just like last episode. Well, this is probably the result of the state of my life right now. I feel like there's like a lot of different things going on and I feel like I don't really have time to like sit down and think like, I don't know, and put all my focus into one thing for better or for worse. But I kind of wanted to talk about like different things that have changed in both of our lives, or I guess in our careers, personal lives, since the beginning of 2026.
In the past month,
Yeah.
you
I mean, you don't have to, but
tell me what has changed for you then in 2026.
well, I was going to ask you what has changed. Since we talked about your retreat last episode, I can't remember when we filmed it, but I don't know. What do you see in in the upcoming months for your work and,
Actually, that's a really poignant question because I was talking about it recently with my PT bestie, Tanya, and Tanya Goodrich of Healthy Pelvis. She was the one that started this podcast with me. Being that I am almost going to be 50. I don't know if you listeners out there are how old you are, but maybe in your mind you thought to yourself what you would be like when you're 50 years old. I for sure thought that 50 was pretty old when I was Nadia's age. When I was 21, I was like, "Man, 50 is old." And actually when I was 30, I thought 50 was old. And I think when I was 40, I thought 50 was old. Anyway, now that I'm approaching that age, I'm going to be 49 in March. I don't feel as old as I thought this age was when I was younger, first of all. But also, I'm thinking about it in terms of my career. Last weekend, I was in the East Coast and we were talking about, and I was in the East Coast with you. I don't know if we've talked about that on the podcast already. And I was doing an outreach type of event at a gymnastics gym in the East Coast. I was out on the floor working directly with gymnasts, doing something that I've been doing for at least 10 years, at least 10 years, which is going out to gyms and educating gymnasts and screening them and doing things like that. When I started that work, it was in an effort to kind of jumpstart my career and become more of an expert in the world of gymnastics, injury prevention, and gymnastics medicine. And I feel like I've been at it for a while. I guess, definitely 10 years, probably more. And I'm approaching this older age and I was wondering to myself, am I too old to be going out and doing these things like going out to gymnastics gyms and having fun with the gymnasts and educating them and like basically like doing this stuff that I was doing a long time ago for free or for pretty low pay, just in an effort to give back to the gymnastics world and also to jumpstart my career. Like, should I not be beyond that at this point? Is it weird that I'm, you know, approaching this era of my career and life and still doing this stuff that I used to do when I was a
Mm,
lot younger? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think you're too old. I feel like you're taking this, like you're looking at it from the perspective of who you were 10, 20 years ago. Like you're asking the question, but you don't feel too old to do it. So might as well just keep doing it while you still can. Like if you didn't do it, how would that benefit you? Like I feel like you'd just be, I don't know, disappointed or sad that you couldn't like continue, you know? that feels like unnecessary change, I guess, in your life just because you turned an age. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, that's what Tanya was saying too. She's like, "Do you still enjoy doing it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, then just keep on doing it." And I don't know. I think I was just questioning whether or not that made not that I should care, but that made me look a certain way. Like, okay, for example, what are some things that you feel like if you saw a 50-year-old doing, you'd be like, "Why are they still doing that?"
Well, like, I feel like my perception of age is really changing, so I'm honestly not sure what I would say. I've like,
Like crowd surfing?
I mean, yeah, but even I like shouldn't be crowd surfing, you know? Like and also I can't really tell people's age recently. I'm not very good. I have a lot of like good sense for other things apart from someone's age. So I feel like I'm not like the best judge of that. And I don't know, like recently I have felt a lot older than, or it has come more to my attention how old I am. I mean, in the scheme of like the people that I'm surrounding myself with and like looking at people that were my age right now when I was in like middle school and high school. So I don't know how to connect this to you, but it's just like mm, guess age is just a number. And it's more like the feelings that come with it. Like just because you're 50 doesn't mean you shouldn't do these things unless you're like physically should not be able to or should not do it or for your own health. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's just come up a lot. Okay, so in the past week, it came up a lot. First, it was the thought that when I was at the gymnastics gym, I'm like, am I too old to be doing this? Like, I don't know why I would think that, but it's just maybe because it's something that I've been doing since I was really young, and maybe at the time I thought it was not going to be permanent. I don't know. Anyway, so there was that.
Mhm.
That thought came up. Then this past weekend, it came up a couple times too. I was snowboarding, which a lot of times people my age, especially females, will say that they shouldn't be snowboarding anymore. They'll say things like, "Oh, I don't do that anymore," or like, I switched to skiing because I don't want to sit down on the ground and change my bindings anymore," or like, "Yeah, I stopped going to the slopes, in my 30s. I just didn't want to get hurt," or something like that. So people will say these
Mhm.
things. But it happened this weekend because somebody brought up the new bindings for snowboarding where you just kind of click in, and
Mhm.
I heard two people talking about it, and the guy was like, "Well, yeah, I switched to these click-in ones because I'm getting older and I don't want to have to like reach down to my feet anymore to like put on my bindings," which
Mhm.
I wanted to say like use it or lose it, like it's probably good timing to like a good time for you to practice squatting down really low.
Mhm.
Is when you need to do it for snowboarding. Anyway, so that came up, and then Eric and I, my husband and I went out, your dad and I went out unexpectedly, totally random to a bar, and that's why I brought up crowd surfing. We're at a bar that was super loud, crowded, felt like I was at like a college party. And someone was crowd surfing in the bar. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, am I in the wrong place? But it's funny because I left the bar and came
Mhm.
back in, and the guy tried to card me. And I was like, I was born in 1977. I don't have my driver's license with me. Can you just let me in?
I feel like in that situation, maybe I'd change my answer. I wouldn't really necessarily feel it was normal to see an older person crowd surfing. And also, maybe your judge of whether or not you should do things is if there's other people your age there. I mean, like, if bars can just end up like college parties, no matter what the age people are in there, people just get rowdy. But, like, if you're actively in a bar and there's only 20-year-olds in there, I feel like that would be your sign that that is not something you should be doing anymore. And maybe you're feeling like you don't like the gymnastics stuff is just a little bit, you feel too old for it because you have to keep up the like same persona, but I feel like you are pretty approachable, so that could just be your personality. And I think that there's a lot of coaches that are 50 and older anyways, so it's not abnormal for these girls that you're speaking to like be listening to someone that is in between the ages of 20 and 40, you know? But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess I just didn't you're right, I'm a kind of playful personality, so I'm like, "Am I still
Or
supposed
I
to be
don't even
playful?"
know. Well, yeah, playful, but also you're just like, you're good at talking to people. So I feel like anyone with that sort of, I guess for lack of a better word, customer service persona, like just like you're able to turn it on for people. Like you can just adapt to any audience. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so
don't
that's what
go to bars with 20-year-olds, please.
well, okay, so
That's not
there
normal.
for your 21st birthday, I felt clearly like I shouldn't be at the bar that you were in because 'cause I'm like, "Wow, this is
Yeah,
really young." But the bar that I was at this weekend, I don't know, I'm sure there were a lot of younger people there too, but it felt it's kinda hard to tell what age people are when they've all just gone snowboarding.
yeah. I think also, like, maybe my sense of, like, how, like, the age that I feel, it's just changing because, like, the people that in my head I thought were older because they were in their late 20s, like, are now closer to 40, which makes me, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm explaining how aging works right now, but, like, when I actually internalize it, it kinda makes my brain hurt. But I think it's mostly because been talking a lot about graduation and, like, other, I don't know, changes that will probably be happening in the next 2 years, so, like, that's been on my mind, and the fact that I feel like time moves a lot faster now, and I mean, when you're younger, like, I don't know, years are very, very long, but now it feels like it's kinda just flying by, so there's, like, a lot of different things to think about now that I didn't realize that were, you know, coming up, but
Yeah, so to answer your question about what's changing in my career, it's relatively the same minus adding more retreats, thinking about potentially opening up another location, and shifting more into like a mentorship role. I've always had that mentorship role, but like before I used to really be hands on with patients and like now I'm willingly passing the opportunity of working with certain gymnasts and dancers to my colleagues because that's what they're at the clinic for. And I have felt so lucky to have been to work with so many gymnasts and dancers. I want them to have that opportunity too. So I used to like hold on to them for myself, and now I'm just like,
Mhm.
here, yeah. So that's what's changing, and my schedule is, like, getting less and less patient care and more about mentoring and growing the practice, and not growing the practice, but, like, adding new things that we do. How about you? What has changed since 2026 for you?
Well, a lot of things.
In the past month?
Yeah, I started a new job. I don't know how much I've talked about it on the podcast, but I started a new job. I'm working in research, clinical research, which I've never done before and also never thought I would do, but it's been a really cool experience. I just signed a new apartment for next year, so I'm gonna be living somewhere
Congratulations.
else, which means now I have to think about, like, you know, all my things and what's going to be staying with me, what's going, like what new things I need to get. My competition season is started. I have my first competition this weekend, but kind of in like that state. A lot of it is like, adjusting to my new work schedule. It's a lot better than having to do homework every day, but I still have MCAT studying to do and a life to live. So it's been a little bit, I guess, difficult to find the space for everything, but I personally thrive when I have a busier schedule and but it has to be able to be organized. But I think I work better when I have a busier schedule and then things to do, or else I'm just, rotting in my bed all day. What else? I don't know. But yeah, I'm still going with my MCAT studying. I would say it's a lot harder than I thought, but it's not. I knew it was going to be hard. It's just really difficult to not have something that I can procrastinate, and I have to stay consistent for another 6 months. And it was just so hard last month. And I think, but I was also giving myself more leeway, and it's hard to not want to continue to do that. But kind of have to pretend or tell myself that test is next month so that I stop procrastinating and just actually study. It's just, I don't know. It's been a big, I'm having to adjust the way that I study every week, because I honestly don't know I guess that was one of my flaws. I don't study very well. I can study well in the sense that the test is in 3 days and I have to, but planning and sitting down and be able to crank something out is not one of my strong suits. So that's been really difficult because I had to do that for another 6 months. What else?
What if you gave yourself a little incentive? Like if you finish a
The thing is,
chapter or
it
whatever?
I'm not, it doesn't work for me like that. I'm just gonna give myself the incentive no matter what, because this is something I'm studying for myself. I have no one telling me what and what not to do, which is very freeing for me. I really like that. But that means I need to find my own personal motivation that doesn't you know how sometimes you get those waves of I'm going to be super productive and I have all these things I'm going to get done right now, and then you get to it and then you don't do it all. I need to take that and actually do it all, because I do get those moments where I'm I have a short amount of time in the day, but I know I can get it done. I don't know. So it's been a lot of changing in my schedule and just overall day-to-day life. I feel like maybe it in your head doesn't feel like a lot of changes, like a lot of physical changes, but for me, it is very different than what I was doing last semester, which is just interesting. And maybe the biggest change is just that everyone is thinking about their future a little more concretely, I guess, because the majority of my friends are graduating, or I guess the majority of my peers. A lot of my friends at Northeastern are doing 5 years, but everyone I went to high school with and all of that, most of them are graduating. So to be in that energy is also scary, but also, I don't know, I like planning for something. So one more change, I'm not the ALC president anymore for GymSafe. So I have a new role and somehow have to let my sister take control, which is going to be very difficult for me. So, so that is another change. So a lot of things have happened in the last 4 weeks.
Well, I think that brings us to what I really want the focus of this season's episodes to be, which is like talking to people that are your peers
Mhm.
that are transitioning to their next step in life. I really want to hear that perspective. I would find it so refreshing, and I feel like the people that are listening would find it refreshing and interesting too. Even though this episode or this podcast is about like mother-daughter conversation, let's get some other daughters in. Other people's
Yeah.
daughters.
Yeah. Sometime soon.
All right. Okay, well, it's nice talking to you, Nadia.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.